So, I just want to say that YouTube is a fickle bitch. You try and provide a disservice to people, and there is no goddamn justice in the world. This corona-laden world. So, big-time studios are allowed to shit all over your honest work of critiquing their beloved and cherished franchises. Fox really didn't want me breaking down their critically acclaimed piece de resistance saga of the Big Mama trilogy, all almost 5 hours of Sir Martin Lawrence Olivier's blood, sweat, and spunk, cut down into a not even that great 40-minute piece of drivel. I don't have my notification screens anymore, but here are my emails. Bastards. So instead of some huge piece, we're going to take the tragedy of me losing a week's worth of my life, putting all of that together, and birth it into something spectacular with a series discussing if a movie has aged like fine wine or Kate Dickey's teat milk in a hot desert.
Your aunt has done a bad thing, Robin, a very bad thing.
Seriously, she just keeps getting those things whipped out every chance she gets. As you already know from the title, this movie and its franchise, which I will dive into in subsequent videos, have stood up like doo-doo water. Starting movie, we have a dogfighting ring that must have been the inspiration for Michael Vick and his schemes. FBI agents Malcolm Turner and John Maxwell are on the scene. Our lead character wearing the dead skin of an elderly triad member, and his partner just being a white guy. Which is disrespectful to Paul Giamatti. He's an amazing actor, and I am so sorry that his career has one too many lame comedies on his resume. We bounce from our intro to some typical cop movie shenanigans into the introduction of the conflict in our movie. Sherry is on the run from her criminal extraordinaire boyfriend Lester. Yes, a black man named Lester. Honestly, if I were black and named Lester, which I am one of those things, I would turn to a life of crime my goddamn self. Lester broke out of prison after killing a doctor while serving a life sentence for killing a few guys during a heist, where Sherry was a loan officer. I have to admit this is where my memory of the movie began waning, so I needed to do what any sane individual does. Rewatch the movie in fragments so I could finish the script, which I realize now is something that I will have to do for the following two. Fuck! We get our first glimpse of Big Mama, and I want to say this right now, and I want you to pay attention because I can't spoon-feed you everything with a legendary piece of cinema such as this after this point. Malcolm and his fat suit both look and sound nothing like Big Mama. Really, the fact that once we get to Big Mama action, nobody can tell the difference between the two of them is staggering, and it's like all of the characters are under the effects of Kyoka Suigetsu or some shit. The only one that really has an excuse later is Sherry, since she says that she hadn't been around since Trent was born, which is 8 years max, and even that's a stretch for not realizing her grandmother is an imposter. So Malcolm gets to snooping, we're introduced to some expert foreshadowing for a horror yet unseen, and Whitey gives us a taste of medium roast racism.
Hey, her stomach's not feeling too good.
I used to be married, but not anymore.
Oh, Lord, is she with Jesus?
No, actually, Jesus, I think, is how he pronounces it. He was the gardener.
Pretty sure this next sequence wasn't in the script. Ella Mitchell had to explode her innards after shooting the X-Lax that were this movie's scenes.
This is going right straight through me.
And this is PG-13, by the way. We get Terrence Howard's action audition reel for Rhodey and Iron Man. Big Mama conveniently stays with a friend for 2 weeks after receiving a phone call. Zeros break into the place to get more. I honestly don't know what they would need more of, to be honest. Coming back to the movie like this makes me realize they had no reason to believe Sherry would ever come into contact with Big Mama. You might want to say that I'm the crazy one for looking too deep into a movie with as much depth of a Boglin-sized pool, but I'm the one suffering through this so you don't have to ever again. Anyway, Sherry calls, Malcolm answers and gives her his siren song and a shitty imitation of her grandmother's voice to bring her home. Also, if any of my friends ever watch this and you can't ever tell the difference between me and M-Law putting on a voice, if my life goes down a certain diverging path based on my choices, I hope you can live with yourself and knowing that you all are the reason why my body wasn't found in time. Next up, we have a montage, bitch!
Bang, let me have this ass attack. You get with this, I get with that.
You might not like it, but this is true art paired with a glorious symphony. Also, while we're on the subject, it is amazing to me that Malcolm has the in-universe ability to rival the faceless men of Bravos. Speaking of things that have aged horribly, am I right? Sherry arrives, and I am disturbed at how perverse Big Malcolm gets here.
Oh, it's so good to see you, Big Mama. I thought you may have forgotten all about me.
Oh, girl, hush your mouth, yeah? Oh, Big Mama could never forget that ass.
He then provides his two victims with some truly amazing cuisine that would make any senpai in an anime hesitate to consume it. Thankfully, we get introduced to our one amazing character, our lovable horn dog, Ben Raleigh.
Oh, you better put that nasty ass tongue back in your mouth or rip it out.
Yes, ma'am. My mouth is closed, but these hands is open for business.
Lester finds out where Trent had his prescription medication called in at their laying low hotspot of Georgia before coronavirus decided to make sweet love to it years later. And then, without missing a beat, we find out Octavia Spencer, much like Paul Giamatti, has this blemish on her career. So we have Ma in Big Mama's house, but we didn't get a mom off? A moth? We don't get a fight to the death here. Yet we do get a birthing scene since Big Mama was supposed to be the midwife. Called The Midwife as a show has been on my radar for a bit, and if I ever check that out, I would hope somebody in the comments could tell me if it's anything like this at all. Also, Anthony Anderson is here. The next day, Malcolm gives us a peek of when his glamour fails, and we get a meet-cute between he and Sherry that I am going to skip over because obviously, they fall in love. Big Malcolm heads into town with Sherry and Trent. We get a touch more Ben Raleigh in our lives, and a scene that would make the orderly from Happy Gilmore cream his sheets.
Could I trouble you for a glass of warm milk? It helps put me to sleep.
You could trouble me for a warm glass of shut the hell up. Now you will go to sleep, or I will put you to sleep. Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
Oh, dear.
Fun fact, the young James from The Invisible Man is in the movie. No doubt he went into law enforcement after enjoying his youth as a bully. Once he had his ankles destroyed on the court. Serves him right, little bitch. Malcolm further sets the seeds to get Sherry to fall in love with him and then pervs on her after she spills jam on a robe. Lester buys a gun from some dude that looks like a fusion dance result of Ethan Hawke and Benedict Cumberbatch, gets threatened to pay double, and survives the standoff by ultimately having a much higher power level. Malcolm and Paul Giamatti have a lover's quarrel, which ultimately adds nothing to the movie. Even Anthony Anderson discovering that they are the most inept at secrecy FBI agents on the planet adds nothing to the movie. For some goddamn reason, the filmmakers deemed it necessary that we get an admittedly unnecessary yet effective jump scare. Let's just stand the shot for a little longer, shall we? Right before we get a dick joke.
What?
That.
Yeah, that's just my flashlight. Oh. Yeah, the storm knocked out all the power, and I had to get a big old flashlight.
Okay.
That we then double down on at the end of a touching conversation borderlining on us discovering a new subcategory of incest porn.
Yeah.
Is there another flashlight under there?
Which begs the question of why this dumbass isn't wearing his makeup while sleeping and with the door unlocked. We have our obligatory black movie church scene, since we African Americans love our Jesus, headlined by Cedric the Entertainer, plunging us headfirst into our final stretch of film, so I'm going to try and make this quick. Surprise party thrown for Big Malcolm find money in Trent's suitcase, Lester find address, film get further incestuous, Ben smell incest in air and want snoo, real Big Mama come home, no one find it curious she changed clothes so fast but everyone suffered from acute memory loss so it matter not, Ben break our hearts, Lester read Trent ghost story book in nefarious manner, we get Shrek-esque dance party, Lester tries steal Sherry away, AA tried to be hero, Big Malcolm crash through window, cover still maintain, Paul gets shot, Big Malcolm fight Lester, Lester punch off Big Malcolm face, and subsequent get kicked out of window. Catch all that? Good.
Cause this show is some freaky shit.
We close out on our newly appointed family in one more church sequence. So the question is, should you watch this movie in 2020, the year of our COVID-19 Lord? Hell no! Not only is the humor dated, but you can easily find much better things that do cops, comedy, and cop comedy better, like Brooklyn Nine-Nine and the other guys. Hell, even another Martin Lawrence movie does the cop comedy better. No, I'm not talking about National Security. I'm talking about Blue Streak. That has Luke Wilson and Dave Chappelle in it, at least. So this has been Neil, telling you that you don't have to worry about bringing your kids to Big Mama's house, but am saying that you should stay tuned because I haven't finished walking you through this shit heap of a trilogy. And I'll be around.